this is Chris, and I want to demonstrate how to sand on our boards to prep them for final assembly. What we have on plywood, we have a lot of times a banded edge, and on the banded edge you'll want to make sure that the edges are down. Sometimes that's a weak point in the edge banding process, so inspect it, make sure they're not coming down. It's not a bad idea to heat every edge up as you're sanding it down, so just take a hot iron, put it on the edge, make sure it's down, and then from that point start breaking the edges. And I'll show you how that's done. All right, like I said, first thing you want to do is just heat the edges up, and I'll just heat them up a little bit, and then press them, make sure that they're down. And what you want to think about is which way the veneer is going. So what I do is I take a file, I wrap a little bit of tape around the ends to keep it from scratching any surface. I'll hold it down on the surface, set it on the edge band, and take it down. And the last couple swipes, I will undercut it. Do the same thing with the other side, and undercut it. And now you have your edge banding here. And what you'll want to do is, since the edge band is set here, this is the last piece on, you'll want to sand in that direction here. So as I place the sanding paper, which is fairly large, you only need about that much, but I make it a little bit larger so you don't risk getting splinters if a splinter does pop up. So sand it toward it so it doesn't pop the veneer. Then you want to sand you want to sand that part. You want to sand a flat edge. And then what I do is I wrap it around just to give it a smooth radius, just a micro radius. It's not very much at all. And then you'll do the same thing on here. Since this is the last veneer, I'm pushing down this direction now. Now be careful with the edge, because there may still be a lip on there, and you can pop it if there's a lip. So I'll kind of undercut that some more. Again, even though it's raw plywood, I'll still sand this flat edge. And then round it over. You're going to put scratch marks on the finished piece because the grain's going this direction. So when we do the final orbiting sanding, we'll make sure we concentrate on the edges to get those scratches out. Same thing here. Push down, flat edge, round it over. Down, flat edge, round it over. And of course, keep in mind you have 8 sides, so you do the same thing with the other side. Another thing that you might do, you saw how when I was sanding it, it was moving on me. Another thing you might do is make you a temporary fence, depending on the size that you're working with. This helps out a lot because you don't have to try to hold the piece into place while you're sanding it. You always want to think smarter, not harder. So now I can just kind of rest against it. It doesn't move. And I don't have to flip it each time. I can do 2 sides, and at the same time. I'm doing it kind of fast, but I'm making sure I do the flat, break it, flat edge, round it over, break it, flat edge, round it over. And I got pockets here. When I come to a pocket, what I want to do is put my finger in there, kind of flex the sandpaper, and just break the edges on that. We're not trying to get inside there. We're just trying to break the edges on that the router may have made. And then just set it to the side, and we'll orbital that. There is a situation where the edge bander may have left too much material or left a little bit of glue on there. So in that case, what I like to do is I like to use a razor blade as a scraper. And if on scrapers, what you'll want to do is you'll want to hold the scraper, or in this case a razor blade, about a 90-degree angle, slightly tilt it towards you, and use it as like kind of like a draw type knife, and pull it towards you. And you can see it. You pull up material, and this keeps you from having to gum up your sandpaper. And this one really wasn't too bad. I just wanted to demonstrate it. You can see, you know, it's pulling up material. I'll just stop there because the rest of it's really, really good. I'll just do real time on a couple of these so you can see. This is edge band on all 4 sides. So I'll just kind of show you real time how this works. Of course, I'm wanting to undercut that last veneer because if you don't undercut it, any bit overhanging will pop that edge banding off. And sometimes on this end grain, just to make it look a little better, I will just go back and forth like this. And by the palm of my hand, my fingers are slightly below surface level, so they're kind of giving that undercut feel to it. And of course, come back, do the flat edges. Again, since it's the last veneer on, I'm pushing that direction. When I'm pulling back, I'm not really putting any pressure. And there's a trade-off on pressure that you can use. I missed this. You can feel everything, but there's a trade-off on pressure. You know, you can apply more pressure to get more material off at once, but then you risk, of course, you know, when a splinter does pop up, hurting yourself. So there's kind of a trade-off on that. You can slow yourself down and use a little bit more pressure, and it's safer that way. And if I was paying attention and not talking, I would have a system to where I would do 2 edges, rotate, 2 edges, flip, 2 edges, rotate, and I would know where I'm at. In that case, I lost where I was, and I had to make sure I had all the edges, and there was one that I missed. Again, all edges are edge banded. Break it below flush level. If there's any that's edge band that's over too much and you want to use a scraper, go ahead and do that now. Like I said, that's not needed every time. I'm really wanting to buff that edge banded edge because I want to make sure any oils are off of it, that it's sanded down, ready for the finish on it. So don't neglect that, and don't neglect if it was raw plywood, sanding that edge as well. Okay, on orbital sanding, what I want to do is I'm going to use 120 grit, and what I want to start with is I want to start with going perpendicular to the grain, Then I'll finish up going with the grain. And I'm concentrating on the edges, especially the end grain edges, because that's where I would have scratched it during the edge breaking process. Let me show you how I do that. That was the perpendicular direction, but if you notice, I'm moving over slightly, no more than 50% overlap each time, because I'm wanting to get it at least twice, and I don't want to miss anything. So I'll do like a 50% overlap. So if my disc is this wide, I'll only move over half that distance each time, and of course concentrate twice as much on the edge. If you notice, I concentrated more on that edge. I saw a little bit deeper scratches than normal. But even though you may not see the scratches, a lot of times they will still be there and they will show up during the staining process.